They say in the heart of the old forests of Umuzi, there once lived a man who dined with the devil himself. No one knows how the devil came to him, whether from the shadows of the trees, from the echo of the night drums, or from the hunger of his own heart. But everyone remembered what happened after that meal, because the man returned to his village the next morning, smiling, whispering to himself, and carrying a clay bowl filled with meat that no one dared to touch. Some said it smelled of roasted goat. Others swore it stank of something else, something that crawled and screamed before it burned. He said the devil had given it to him as a gift. And from that day on, the people of Umuzi learned, the devil does not come with fire and horns. He comes with food. Would you share a meal? If the one offering it smiled with too many teeth. The man's name was Kofi, a simple hunter who lived on the edge of the village of Umuzi, surrounded by thick forest, where daylight barely touched the ground. He was known for his pride, a man who believed he feared nothing, not even the spirits that the elders warned of. While others left offerings at the forest's edge, Kofi laughed. Spirits don't eat yam or kola nuts, he'd say. They're just stories for cowards. His wife, Amma, often warned him. Kofi, arrogance blinds a man faster than night. Respect the unseen. But he would only smile and sharpen his blade. The people of Umuzi lived by ancient laws. They knew which trees not to cut, which rivers not to cross after sunset, and which paths never to walk alone. But Kofi, stubborn and bold, broke all of them. One evening, as the crimson sun dipped behind the forest, he returned from a hunt empty-handed. The traps were bare, the forest silent. Not even the chirping of insects remained. Frustrated, he muttered, "Let the spirits starve tonight. Tomorrow I'll take their forest for myself." That night, thunder rolled across the skies. The wind howled through the cracks in his hut. Amma tossed in her sleep, whispering strange words, but Kofi only stared into the darkness. Then he heard it, a knock. Rhythmic. He frowned. No one visited after midnight. The villagers believed the night belonged to spirits. The knock came again, 3 slow taps. "Kofi!" A whisper followed, low and dry, like the hiss of leaves. "Kofi, you are hungry. I can help." He froze. "Who's there?" Silence. Then from the doorway, a smell drifted in, roasted meat. Rich, sweet, smoky. His stomach twisted. When he stepped outside, he saw no one, only the flicker of a fire deeper in the forest. And then the voice again. "Come, Kofi. You hunt for meat. Tonight meat hunts for you." The forest path glowed faintly under the moonlight, like it was guiding him. He should have gone back. But curiosity, that old deadly flame, pulled him forward. He had lost everything, his wife, his land, and his hope, all to hunger and misfortune. And yet, the man walked with pride, as if defying fate itself. But the elders said, no man defies hunger without paying the devil his share. One evening, as the crimson sun bled into the river, Kofi set out to hunt. He walked deeper than he ever had before, past the sacred baobab tree, past the whispering stones that marked the graves of the forgotten. He carried only his spear, a torch, and a half-empty gourd of palm wine. The forest grew colder, the silence thicker. Even the insects seemed to hold their breath. Then he smelled it, smoke. Not the smoke of firewood, but of roasted meat, rich, sweet, and inviting. "Who would dare roast meat in the forbidden woods?" he whispered. He followed the scent until he reached a clearing he had never seen before. And there, in the middle of the night, sat a man. No, not a man. A tall figure, skin as dark as shadow, eyes burning like dying coals. He sat by a fire that burned without wood. And over that fire hung a pot of stew that shimmered gold in the flames. "You look hungry, traveler," said the figure, his voice deep and smooth like oil. "Come share my meal." Kofi froze. His instincts screamed to run. But his stomach betrayed him. He had not eaten in 2 days. And that stew, its scent made his mouth water like rain over dry soil. "Who are you?" Kofi asked, his voice trembling. "A friend," the stranger smiled. "Or, perhaps your reflection." Kofi's torch flickered. His heart pounded. Still he sat. The man ladled stew into a black wooden bowl, carved with strange markings that glowed faintly in the dark. The steam rose like ghostly hands, curling toward Kofi's face. He took a spoonful. The flavor, unreal. Rich, sweet, wild, like the forest itself was melting on his tongue. He swallowed greedily, barely breathing between bites. But as he ate, something changed. The forest grew silent again. The fire dimmed. And the stranger's smile widened. "Do you like it?" he asked. "It's the best I've ever tasted." "Good," said the stranger, "for you have just eaten what no mortal should taste." Kofi's spoon dropped. The stew turned black in his bowl, thick, bubbling like tar. And the ground beneath him trembled. What have you fed me?" Kofi gasped. "A meal of debts," said the man. "For everything taken from you, something must be given." The stranger's eyes flared crimson. The fire turned blue. And Kofi felt his body go cold, from his fingertips to his heart. He looked down. His skin was darkening, veins pulsing black beneath it. He tried to scream, but no sound came. "You took my food," the stranger whispered. "Now I take your voice." Then, Kofi understood. He hadn't been sharing a meal. He had been signing a pact. The stranger stood tall now, horns rising from his head, his body shifting like smoke and shadow. He held out a long hand, clawed and glistening with ash. "You wished for plenty," the devil said. "Now you shall feed forever." The ground split open beneath the fire, a pit of glowing embers, and inside it bones. Hundreds of them, some still fresh. Kofi stumbled back, but his feet sank into the soft earth. He looked down. The ground was swallowing him. "Please." "I didn't know," he cried. "You knew hunger," said the devil. "Now you'll know eternity." Suddenly the fire flared, and Kofi's body was dragged into the pit. The air filled with the stench of burning flesh. But the strangest thing was the sound that followed. The devil was laughing, but so was Kofi. Their voices blended, echoing through the forest, until they became one. At dawn, the villagers found the clearing. The fire was cold. The pot was gone. Only a single wooden bowl lay in the ashes, carved with the same glowing symbols. And beside it lay a human tongue still warm. That day the rains came early. The villagers buried what they found under the sacred tree, never speaking of it again. But at night, those who passed the forest claimed to hear a man whispering, "Come, share my meal." And those foolish enough to follow the smell of stew were never seen again. In Carranza they say hunger is a spirit. Feed it once, and it will always return. But feed it with the devil's hand, and you will never hunger again, because you'll no longer be human enough to feel it. Some meals should never be shared. The next morning, the forest of Carranza stood still, as if mourning something unseen. The air was heavy with the smell of burnt wood and damp earth. And by the old sacred tree, where hunters often prayed before their journeys, a strange silence lingered. When the villagers came searching for Kofi, they found nothing but ashes. No bones, no weapons, only a bowl, blackened by fire, marked with symbols that pulsed faintly when touched. "He has angered the forest spirits," the elder said, trembling. "No," whispered the priestess. "He fed the wrong one." That day, the people sealed the path leading into the deep forest. They carved warnings into the trees, in red clay and blood, and forbade anyone from crossing after sunset. But as time passed, curiosity returned. Young hunters dared each other to test the tales. Some returned, shaken, pale, never the same again. Others never returned at all. One night, an old fisherman named Tano claimed he saw a flicker of fire beyond the baobab tree. Thinking it was a lost traveler, he followed it, only to find a pot of stew bubbling gently in the dirt. The air smelled of roasted meat. And from the shadows came a whisper. "You look hungry, traveler. Come, share my meal." Tano fled before he even saw the face that spoke. He said he felt the ground breathe, as though the forest itself was alive, watching, waiting for him to sit. From that day, no one ever spoke Kofi's name again. But on moonless nights, the villagers still swear they hear laughter, deep, hollow, echoing between the trees. Some say it's the devil. Others say it's Kofi, still feeding, still laughing, cursed to serve what once fed him. The elders say hunger is not only of the stomach. Sometimes it grows in the heart. The hunger for wealth, for comfort, for revenge. And that hunger is what the devil loves to feed. Kofi's story became a lesson for the generations that followed. Parents warned their children not to take food from strangers, not to make promises when desperate, not to accept what comes too easily, for gifts from darkness always demand a price. The priestess, long after the event, told a tale to the young ones around the fire. She said, "The devil does not appear with horns and fire. Sometimes he wears the face of your desire. Sometimes he looks like mercy in the shape of a meal." The children trembled, holding their breath as she threw a handful of salt into the flames. The fire hissed, and for a moment they swore they saw a shadow rise inside it. A tall man, smiling, holding a bowl. They say, to this day, the forest around Carranza still remembers. The soil grows nothing where Kofi vanished. And if you stand there long enough, you might smell stew on the wind. You might even hear a voice whisper, "Eat, and be filled." But beware. For once you taste what is not yours, once you dine with darkness, it never leaves your tongue. You carry it forever. Kofi sought a cure for his hunger. But in his desperation, he fed the very thing that destroys men, greed. The forest gave him what he wanted but took what he was. That is the way of old spirits. They trade in souls, not favors. So when life feels empty, when hunger, of the body or the heart, drives you to despair, remember Kofi. Remember the man who shared a meal with the devil. And remember that not every offering fills you. Some hollow you out instead. In every village across Africa, stories like this are not just to frighten, they are to warn. To remind us that the unseen world walks beside us every day. That every hunger has a watcher. And every watcher waits for a deal. So the next time you are offered something too good, too free, too easy, ask yourself, who's really feeding you? Because sometimes, the devil doesn't come to take your soul. He comes to share your table. If this story stirred something inside you, give this video a like. Share it with someone who loves mysteries of the unseen. And subscribe to Tales by Sana, where every night, a new voice rises from the dark. Because sometimes, the scariest stories aren't just told, they're remembered.